Hey everyone, what's happening? October 25th, 2021 here. I'm going to run an amp that I made through a couple of different 212 cabs, and we're going to see what the tone sounds like. So the guitar is going to be a Gibson SG with a Seymour Duncan custom pickup in the bridge. And I'm going to tell you all about the amplifier and the cabinets and the speakers that are in it as we go along. So here we go, and hope you enjoy. All right, so let's talk about the head here, the amplifier itself. I built this amp maybe 5-6 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I think I completed it in 2016 or early 2017, and then I actually changed it. So I don't remember when I changed it, maybe in 2018. Anyways, it's just a head here, and it's pretty simple. Input jack, volume, tone, pilot light, power switch. Off, on. How you like that? All right, let's come around and check out the back here. In the back, we have a 5AR4 rectifier. This power transformer, I don't know if you can really see it in there. It's a pretty wacky power transformer. I think it's a Stancor P-8356 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's an old Stancor power transformer, and you can use a 5U4GB if you want. You can use a 5AR4, a 5V4, 5Y3 if you're using 6V6s. And it's got 260 milliamps of power, so it's great, or current, I should say, that it's able to supply for the output tubes here. So it's great for a cathode biased amp like this. And the high voltage secondary is 270 on either side, so that's going to give us a nice lower voltage on the plates of these output tubes, which is also very cathode bias friendly. Right now I've got two of my favorite here, Russian 6P3SE power tubes right there with what they call the wafer or the coin base. You can't really see very well. And this amp has octal preamp tubes. Right now you've got a 5691, which is like a ruggedized, quote unquote, 6SL7, and then just a Sylvania 6SL7 right there. And the circuit is set up so that this first 6SL7 is wired in parallel. So both triodes of the tube are connected together. And the second 6SL7 has the first triode is used as a gain stage, and the second is used as a cathodion phase inverter, much like you'd see in a Tweed Deluxe or some of the other old Tweed cathode biased Fender amps. We got 8 and 16 ohm speaker jacks here. All right, I've got the cab wired up to the head. This cabinet it's kind of dark, you can't really see, but it's got a Celestion gold speaker in it. And you can kind of see the gold right there, and a UK-made G12H greenback with the bass cone. These speakers are really efficient, so they're really loud and really snappy. And I think it's interesting that the Alnico versus ceramic thing, I don't think play is as much of a factor. Granted, the other cab has 2 Alnico magnet speakers. This one has 1 and a ceramic magnet speaker, but the Weber cabinet is much more compressed and noticeably quieter than this cab, which is really snappy and just fucking ridiculously loud. So here you go. Okay, here's something that's kind of a point of interest about this amp. The output transformer that I used in this amplifier, and I've used it in a couple of other builds before, and I've taken them apart and then you know, reused it to build the amp that I'm demoing today. But it's a Knight branded output transformer made for Allied radio, which I think was intended to be for like ham radio or hi-fi or something like that. And you can see here the handwritten note for the specs from the gentleman that I bought the transformer from. It has the exact specifications that match a Stancor A-3801, which is used in the early train wreck amplifiers. And those things fetch a pretty penny these days on eBay. I think they're going for, you know, $400 or $500 if you can find one in the OG box and that hasn't been used. And even one that's been ripped out of an amp is going to probably run you a few $100. It's got the same 6.6K primary. It's rated for 35 watts. It's got the 4, 8, and 16 ohm secondaries as well as the additional windings there. And it's very comparable in size too to the A3801. So if I'm smart, and maybe one day I'll rip this thing apart and make a train wreck clone, or just sell it, probably fetch a couple $100 just for the OT. Maybe go buy some groceries, you know. And just for some further info here, we've got the guts of the amplifier. I've taken the chassis out of the head cabinet, and this is it. It's kind of it's like a blend between point to point and then using these terminal strips as a phantom circuit board in a way. You know, it's laid out similar to the way a circuit board amp would be, with also some point-to-point aspects of the components being directly mounted onto the tube sockets. So yeah, you can see the each filter capacitor for each stage is directly located at each stage, and the main power filter caps here, right here. It's got some pretty somewhat conservative filtering. I think this is a 40 microfarad cap and a 47, or maybe a 47 and a 33. I'm not really sure. These F&T caps are pointed down, so I don't remember exactly what they are, but you can see it's not a ton of filtering here. And we've got 16 microfarads here at the first preamp stage, and I think this is a 22 microfarads here for the second gain stage and the phase inverter. You can see each power tube has its own cathode bias resistor, its own 500 ohm cathode bias resistor, and separate cathode bypass capacitor here. And I've got these little pieces of sponge that I kind of smushed in there to prevent the heat of the resistors from drying out the capacitors, or at least kind of to delay the inevitability of that happening, you know. And this is not really a problem. These little things are fine here. They'll deteriorate over time, and who knows, in 20 or 30 years, if somebody opens this up, they'll get a kick out of that, and there'll be some dust in there. You can just blow it out with some compressed air. You get the filament wiring here to the pilot light, and going down here to each tube. And yeah, that's it. This is the guts of the amp. It's pretty simple, and you know, not too many bells or whistles, not too many frills. And then we have the top view of the chassis outside of the cabinet, and Indeed, you can see this is a Stancor P-8356, as I said, and those are the stats right there. You've got 3 amps of current available on the 5-volt winding, secondary, and a whole whopping 8.8 volts of or amps of current available on the 6.3 volt winding. So there's more than enough to go around. And this ruggedized 6SL7 is 5691. These pull twice the amount of filament current as your typical 6SL7 does. These pull about 0.3 amps or 300 milliamps of filament current. These pull 600 milliamps of filament current, or 0.6 amps. The same goes for a 6SN7 and a 5692. If this were a 6SN7, it would pull 300 milliamps of current. If this were a 5692, it'd be pulling 600 milliamps of current. But with that 8.8 amps available, we could add a couple more preamp tubes if we wanted, have them all be 5691s and 5692s, and we would still be well within the ballpark, you know. And here's the output transformer that, you know, basic variation on the Stancor A3801. It's got some print on the back there. You can look that up online, and you're not going to find a lot of information. And here's something I neglected to mention in earlier when the chassis was in the cabinet. We've got this Thordarson filter choke, and this is rated for 10 henries. I forget the milliamp rating on it, but it's definitely hardy enough to take care of the screens of the power tubes, whatever power tubes you use. There's one unfortunate aspect of the amplifier, and the circuit, it will allow you to run EL34s in cathode bias, which is pretty righteous, but the cabinet unfortunately won't accommodate the height of the 34s. I swapped out the tubes right here. I've got a 5Y3 rectifier and a couple of 6V6s, and I'm going to fire it up in a minute with this very different rectifier tube and these lower power output tubes, and maybe I'll throw some EL34s in there too, just so we can see what that's like, because it's kind of one of like the golden things that people chase out there is cathode biased EL34s, and for good reason, because they really do sound great. So you take this chassis out of the cabinet and you can run 34s in this bad boy. And you'll note that all of these demos are with the amp kind of cranked up, because I feel like I am from the same school of thought as a gentleman named Rondo from the Tweed Deluxe Speed Shop down in Florida. Any amp can sound good clean. The true character of the amp is revealed when you turn that fucker up, man. right, so that's it, everybody. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me and checking out this video today. As noted, all of those clips are with the volume almost cranked there, and also they're all with the guitar going straight into the amplifier. There's no pedals there. There's no distortion pedal or overdrive pedal or anything like that. It's just the guitar going straight into the amp, relying completely on the breakup of the glass you see right there. So thanks very much, and have a great day. Peace.